With me just finishing up SEAL Team Season 6, I'm very tired as I've been watching it heavily due to the channel and honestly my own personal enjoyment. And I can truly say that I've come a long way since my original video on 6 and my negative views on SEAL Team. I am happy that I gave it another shot as it is really one of the best shows I've watched in general. And to a lot of the people that told me that the show improved so much after Season 3 when it moved from CBS to Paramount Plus, yeah, you were pretty much right, as I found my enjoyment in the first 3 seasons also good, but the show does take a more realistic approach, I think, in terms of language from Season 4 and beyond. It definitely got rid of the more clean feel it had, and honestly, it was a bit odd hearing Jason and the team say fuck, but I got used to it pretty quickly. And a lot of the criticism that I had for SEAL Team after I watched the first 3 seasons were Jason and his character being a certain way at times. I felt like he made Ray, who was his 2IC of the group, feel meaningless and as if he didn't care about him in general. And it just seemed like his priorities were always moving, and it just got kind of a bit much at times for me. I also stated after Season 3 that my favorite character was easily Ray, as he felt the most authentic and seemed like he had the best head on his shoulders. He was just absolutely great in that role. I never talked too much about Clay or Sonny because I didn't care all that much for them. I felt I had Sonny pretty figured out, and in the early seasons of the show, Clay was more like a go-getter. He wanted to prove that he was better, and he kind of did have a big ego on him, and he also had lots of ambition, and at times it rubbed me the wrong way when he thought that he was more dialed in than some of his own teammates. One of the biggest comments I saw on my SEAL video was that Clay and Sonny were going to be my favorite characters by the end, and that Clay was the best operator on the team. In those first 3 seasons, I wasn't too sure about that. Well, now that I caught up to mostly all of you in terms of Season 7, I can say that yeah, Clay and Sonny improved tremendously, and I did grow to like their characters a lot. And as for Clay, he really showed a different side of him. He grew so much with every single season, and seeing how much he cared for those around him, not just his teammates, but Swanee, or his green team instructor Adam, or even Marston. He showed selflessness, and he became a very noble character by the end. In terms of skill, he was one of the best, and it wasn't until the last few episodes of Season 5 that Clay easily became my second favorite character on the show, when he realized that Jason was compromised and that he could put the whole team in danger, so he decided to leave his family to go on this Black Ops missions for months. And the sole purpose of him going was to keep an eye on Jason and keep Bravo safe. And the crazy thing about this whole situation was that the team shitted on him big time, especially Jason, after Clay told him about his suspicions that he may have TBI. Jason ripped into him and really caused a lot of tension within the squad. Clay's son was also born prematurely, and he was fighting in the hospital for his life during all of this, so this made it even worse. It really showed different layers to Clay's character, and here he began to really grow on me. And now for this portion of the video, we're going to talk about massive spoilers for the show. So if you haven't seen Season 6, Episode 8, do not watch past this. Well, today's episode is really about this topic, which is the death of Clay. And before going deeper into it, I want to say that I spoiled it for myself during my first review of SEAL Team when someone commented saying I stopped watching after Clay's death, and I accidentally saw that comment. Now, as you can imagine, I was pissed off, but I tried to ignore it as I didn't know the details behind the death, meaning I had no clue when it could happen, what season, what episode, or even how. And quite honestly, I assumed it would happen during an op gone wrong. But seeing Clay improve so much, I kept thinking at times, well, how the hell does he get killed if he's such a good operator? Now, obviously, skill or being the best doesn't keep you alive, as anyone can get killed no matter what. But in the context of a TV show, I did ponder that for a long time. I thought that he would die during the end of Season 5, as the actor who plays Clay, Max Theriot, also starred as the lead in Fire Country, a show that he wrote and produced, and that show began sometime after the end of SEAL Team Season 5. So I assumed he would get killed during the Black Ops mission, and maybe Jason and the team would regret how they treated him. And I can honestly say that I really thought he was going to die during Season 5. But when Season 5 ended, Clay was not dead, and we see him again in the beginning of Season 6 during an ambush that was teased in the Season 5 finale. And here I thought, okay, so he's gonna die here because he was heavily wounded and his right leg was absolutely shattered. The team is able to hold it down and eventually exfil towards a hospital in Germany where they've been treated before. And during this time, Clay is fighting for his life, and the show really made it feel like he wasn't going to go home. But I was assuming that his time was coming. But what I didn't see coming at all was him losing his leg. That hit really hard, as you see someone so skilled, so tough, and someone like him go through so much and then end up like that. Well, he would survive survive and he would head back home to Virginia Beach. He seemed like he was in good spirits, but sometime during the middle of season 6, he realizes that life without his leg is harder than he imagined, and he begins to feel like he's now a burden to everyone around him, and he eventually begins to take pills for the pain. And when that happened, my stomach honestly turned into knots. I felt almost sick to my stomach, and I jumped the gun, and I assumed that maybe he would die from an overdose or he was going to become addicted to the pills and eventually take his own life. And I feared for that, as I didn't want to see the downfall he was about to go on. And look, one thing I know is that this show does a great job of treating these servicemen and women with respect and showing so many different sides of the war and its lasting effects on those that have served. And one comment that stood out in my last SEAL video was about a veteran who said that he realized that he had TBI due to the show depicting it through Jason. And not only did it save his marriage, but it also saved his life, as he was able to get treatment for it. And it's because of how it deals with these real life issues that I thought they would go down the road of an elite dev group operator feeling worthless after such an injury, that maybe he turned to pills and it cost him his life. And honestly, I hated that ending for Clay, as we see him at his best, and now seeing him succumb to that, it would be extremely hard to watch, especially after everything that he did for Swanee and his quest to make TBI a more open issue within the military. But after a camping trip with the guys, and Jason having a one-on-one with Clay, and basically talking him out of taking his own life, Clay got rid of the pills and turned his life around again for the better. And I'd like to add this part as a side note. Before Jason and Clay had this conversation, Ray and Clay had a one-on-one convo about what Ray thought Clay was, or who Ray thought Clay was as a person. And it was absolutely brilliant. It was one of my favorite scenes in the entire show. Having Ray and Clay sit down and have a one-on-one conversation, the acting from both actors was absolutely tremendous. It felt raw and real, and I'm really glad that they had that conversation before Clay died. But now back to our main point here. Clay improved, and over the next few episodes, we saw him accepting his new role and making up with Stella, taking care of his baby, helping more vets at the center that Ray and Naima opened to help veterans that needed support. I mean, I thought maybe I read that guy's comment wrong. Maybe Clay doesn't die, because I don't see what the hell would happen. He seems like he's on the right track, and I figured maybe he slips up and overdoses, but that would never happen. And then he would meet Ben, a veteran from the Air Force who really needed help. Clay took a liking to him and tried to help him out. Towards the end of episode 8, Clay tells Stella that he wants to focus on her and probably leave Virginia Beach behind, as he wanted to start a new life where she pursues her dreams and they can take care of Brian. He called his father and talked about reviving their quest for TBI. It all honestly seemed great, maybe too great. And then Clay gets a phone call from Ben, who sounds frantic and weird on the phone. Clay realized something was up, and so he heads over to him. And here's where this quite dark feeling almost appeared on the screen as he says goodbye to Stella. And she kind of just stares at him, almost like it's the last time she's ever gonna see him. And I guess it was at this point where I fucking knew something was gonna happen. And I thought to myself, not like this. You know, one of my favorite military films is American Sniper, directed by the legend Clint Eastwood. And this movie portrays the absolute great U.S. SEAL Chris Kyle and his real life. You guys know the story better than me, I would assume. And after everything he went through, after everything he did, and all he survived and probably endured, he was murdered at a shooting range in Texas by Eddie Ray Routh, who was an ex-Marine who Kyle was trying to help. The film absolutely hurt to watch, and I mentioned the film because of the emotions that I felt during it. And when Clay pulled up to help Ben, I felt those same exact feelings. I thought, I can't believe this guy's going to shoot him after he wanted to help. Well, the scene plays out and Clay gets Ben to calm down and takes the gun from him. I thought, well, if he survives this, then how does it ever happen? And then the security guard arrived. I mean, what can I say? You know, it hurt and it sucked and I hated it. But it mirrors real life, doesn't it? You know, I think what I hate the most is how his death happened after everything that he did and all the lives that he saved and all that he survived and all that he sacrificed. He died like some damn robber on the street, completely alone and with none of his brothers or family around him. It felt ruthless. And life rarely has happy endings. And that's a hell of a lot more true for many of the veterans that serve. I think the show really respects these men and women and what they go through and what they give. And so his death was awful. But when isn't death that way? Now, I wish he hadn't died. I wish he would have been written off and taken Stella and his baby away and moved somewhere else. That's what I would have liked. But that's not the world that we live in. So no, I didn't like his death, but I wasn't supposed to. And what I can really say is that this show turned me around. And Bravo 6 himself was one badass dude.